Hey guys, here for Supergirl, Season 2, Episode 4, Survivors, and I was definitely really looking forward to this episode. I've been loving the season so far, as you guys know. I really think they've been doing a really great job with transferring over to CW, and everything they gave us last week, I think really set up the season really well, because like I said, last week basically was like the official start of the season, and this episode for me, while I did really like this episode, this was a very messy episode. I definitely will admit that. I think this episode was very messy. I think that there was just a little too much going on, and this definitely was the weakest episode of the season. Not a bad episode, I definitely will say that. A really good episode. I really did enjoy a lot of stuff going on here. I just think that this one was a little bit weaker than some of the other ones, but overall, I did like this episode. I just, like I said, thought it was a little weaker. But let's just get into it because there definitely is a lot to talk about. A lot did happen in this episode and definitely set up a lot of potential storylines. I really do like where they're going. But we start off with Mon-El, who Mon-El gets a lot of stuff doing this episode. I'm happy about it. I like us getting into Mon-El's character. I think Mon-El is a really interesting character so far, and I like what they've been doing with him. And I forgot to say this, he's actually the one that played Kai in the Vampire Diaries Season 6, which was by far one of the best things about that season. So I'm glad to see that that actor is back. I've always really liked that actor, and I think he's doing a really good job as his character. But we start off with Mon-El. He's protecting a Daxamite prince on the day that Krypton died. Meteors and debris rain down from above. They find a Kryptonian pod in the wreckage, and Mon-El preps the pod to get the prince off-world, but the prince instead closes the pod and tells Mon-El to get to safety. So that's basically the story of what ended up happening to Daxam, and of course, Mon-El didn't know that Daxam's gone, but in the present day, he's recounting the events of what went down. He explains that he was actually a member of Daxam's royal family, we find out, and he's anxious to basically experience all the wonders of planet Earth, like soccer with dragons, which of course they don't have, and that's something I really do love about Mon-El as a character. Like I said, unlike Kara, he doesn't know much about Earth. He hasn't been in Earth for a while, and he's just very out of the loop when it comes to that stuff, and I really do like that. But, Hank has to be a downer and tells Mon-El that he's actually restricted to the DEO we see, and basically that's all he can do is he can only be in the DEO, and has to be there so they can continue, and they have to be there until it's safe, really, because it's not safe for him to go out, especially what's going on with him and everything. So John excused himself to do something personal. We don't know what that's all about, really. I thought that was interesting, but basically Maggie, we're not going to call her Star, I guess we're calling her Maggie. She calls Alex to examine a dead alien body with her, and the victim's body shows clear signs of a fight with another alien. Supergirl arrives but finds herself to be a third wheel, as Alex and Maggie seem to have the situation covered, which I thought was interesting that she didn't really need to be there. I was surprised to see that, but it seems like they know what they're doing, and that Kara doesn't really need to be there in this situation. But back at Catco, Kara proposes to... So back at Catco, Kara proposed to write an article on the alien body. Snapper criticized her for not fleshing the idea out more and need to get to some solid facts. And Snapper in general, I'm not really liking this character. I feel like Snapper, they're just not really doing a ton with him. He seems very cartoony to me. I definitely will say, I get why he's upset at her, but they haven't really given me much of a reason why he's upset, and I feel like we could have focused more on him and James, who, James is not snubbed this season, but he just doesn't really have a ton to do. I want to see him have more to do. He was not in this episode at all, which was weird, but, yeah, I really want a little more with Snapper, and I hope they do more of them, but we'll have to see. Jonathan arrives at the Safe Haven bar to learn from Megan how she escaped Mars, and a lot of this episode focuses on that conflict between Megan and between John. We know some is definitely going on there, and basically, Megan explains that the white Martian refused to kill her, smuggled her off planet, and John wants to do the Martian equivalent to a mind meld, but Megan seems to be a little put off by that request. She really does not feel that's the right thing to do, and I thought overall it was interesting to see, and basically this was over 300 years ago, we find out, so overall I thought it was definitely interesting to find out here what we got with that, but basically we see Finn points Alex and Maggie to the alien who left a bone shard in the alien corpse they found earlier. Not Finn, Win, I mean. And when they confront the alien, he attacks them, but is quickly overwhelmed by a group of parasoldiers and dragged into a van as Alex looks on. And Alex briefed John on the incident from before. Kara calls John out for being grumpy because they know that something's going on. I mean, they can tell that something's up, definitely. John's being very reclusive. They don't know why. And John tells the Danvers sisters about Megan and her reluctance to mind meld, and how against it he is. He really is not happy that she's back, and it's really affecting you, definitely see. So I think a lot of his stuff really did work in this episode. I like what they did with him overall, and I thought overall definitely was interesting to see what was going on there. But I did like the stuff with him in this episode, but Mon-El then interrupts Kara talking to a hologram of her mother, which it has been a long time since we've seen Alora. Definitely, it's been a long time, but they bond for a moment until Mon-El calls Kara's mom a babe, and then Mon-El unsuccessfully asks if she could chaperone him out to the real world. And I like that while Mon-El is, from a different planet, he's not an idiot. He is very much your typical guy. I like the way he is like that. I definitely do like him overall. But Maggie takes Alex to this underground party attended by most of National City's elite. The best way to describe this is Eyes Wide Shut, but not rated R. Like, this was a very clean version of Eyes Wide Shut. Definitely was weird to see, but it turns out the party's an underground alien fight club. So it's kind of like mixing that with Fight Club. Very different entities together, but interesting to see. But this does bring us to one of the most interesting parts of the episode, with Megan actually being the alien, Miss Martian versus the alien. So Alex and Maggie had tried to interview earlier, but when Maggie realizes that they've been spotted, Supergirl arrives just in time. Unfortunately, Roulette calls in a monstrous alien called Drago, which promptly beats the tar out of her, and Maggie grabs a gun, breaks to the party while Alex scares off the alien from finishing Supergirl, and unfortunately, they didn't get to her in time. So back at the DO, Alex breaks the news about the underground fight club and Megan's involvement in it, and he storms out. Obviously, because, he wanted to get to Megan. He wanted to know more about her. Now they know all this is going on. John feels even more upset. We know he was already brooding, and now he's even more upset about it. So after Win, some of the best stuff in this episode, definitely, I really did like, is the stuff between Win and Mon-El. I thought it was just a lot of fun to see. Win's helping Mon-El test his powers, continues to show his efficiency by identifying the shrapnel found in the alien victim. Just a lot of fun to watch what's going on there. He runs down Mon-El's power sets, and Mon-El actually manipulates Win into letting him out of the DO for a little bit, and the way he was able to do that, I thought was definitely fun to see. I mean, you understand why he wants to get out of there. It's obviously he's not really enjoying it, but Carr continues to pitch Snapper on her story. He gets mad when she doesn't really have a source. He feels like she should have more of a source to it, and I didn't really see why this was such of an issue. I mean, I get it, obviously, but I just feel like he's just there to yell at her. And Win and Mon-El then bond over a ton of drinks to the bar. Win rushes Mon-El out when he accidentally breaks someone's arm, which is understandable. Mon-El is extremely incredibly strong, and again, he doesn't fully understand. He hasn't really adapted to, the real world yet, and this is a very good way of showing that. I mean, Mon-El just really is like a fish out of water here. Even though Kara is just as strong and so Superman, which Mon-El is essentially a more toned-down version of, Mon-El is just more inexperienced. He's not at all used to any of this stuff. He wants to explore the world, and I like where they're going with him overall. So John confronts Megan about the Fight Club, but Megan insists that she's just trying to move past her past on Mars, and John managed to get Roulette's name out of Megan before she throws him out because he wants to know more what's going on. Supergirl stops Roulette's limo, confronts her about the Fight Club. Roulette refers to stop and says that aliens will continue to fight for her because they're afraid and nothing better. So the next morning, John yells at Wayne about his night out with Mon-El, admits that he's upset about Megan, that it's not really he's upset about that. And Supergirl tells John that he shouldn't trust Megan like a perp out of a lineup, and then realizes she was doing the same thing to Mon-El, that she was too trusting of Mon-El, and he was too trusting of Megan. And Supergirl admits to Mon-El that she's been standoffish because he's a reminder of her parents' failure to save Krypton and Daxam. As we know, Daxam and Krypton, were enemies, and that's definitely something that Kara can't just shake. She wants to move past it, but she's not really going to help him, you definitely see, and she's realizing this is a problem. Mon-El assures her that Krypton's death wasn't his parents' fault, and again gives her a clue as to Drago's weakness. Overall, interesting. I want to see these two work together, I definitely do, because it's kind of like Superman and a more inexperienced Superman. Like, say Superman just came down for Earth, that's Mon-El, and Supergirl working together, and I'm definitely all for this, and their whole reasons for, not really wanting to work together, I think overall is very interesting, but I like that, again, she is willing to move past that. Definitely something this scene's just doing really well, is being a very hopeful show. So John then returns to Magon's apartment to apologize, but Roulette and her men bring him down. It turns that Magon is actually still upset at John and tip Roulette off about John's existence, and when Alex finds out that John's disappeared, she realizes that Roulette is involved. Supergirl can't find Roulette's club. She knows someone who would regularly get an invite, which of course is Lena, and Carr gets the location from Lena, says she owes Lena a big favor, and meanwhile Roulette pits Miss Martian against Martian Manhunter in a duel to the death. Miss Martian gets the upper hand, but Martian Manhunter realizes that she's only fighting because she thinks that she deserves it, and eventually Miss Martian stops the fight, so Roulette unleashes Draga on both of them. Alex, Maggie, and Supergirl arrive with a SWAT team. Supergirl uses Mon-El's advice to take down Draga, and then convinces the other fighters to stand down and let Maggie arrest Roulette. Just a really well done scene overall. I really did like that, really intense stuff, but I thought overall it was just a really strong way they did that. I overall really did enjoy that, and basically, Roulette realized that the scary monster alien had killed them both, and basically, Roulette's placed under arrest, but unfortunately, Roulette has the right context and actually is let go, and I guess we're going to be seeing her again. I hope we don't, because I wasn't a huge fan of her in this episode. I definitely will say that. I didn't hate her by any means, but if she's going to be our villain this season, I'm not really into that. I'm really not. It's weird that we're 4 episodes in and we don't really seem to have a villain, but it's something that they haven't really done yet on the CW universe that I haven't seen before, and I like that. I like that we don't actually seem, that it doesn't actually seem like, we have a villain yet. And maybe we do, but they're just not really showing it. It's just very subtle, I guess. I don't really know, though, but outside of the club, Maggie gets a call from her superiors to let Roulette go. Alex offers to buy Maggie a drink, but Maggie's girlfriend shows up, breaks up the moment. I didn't think that Alex was a lesbian, but I guess she is. I mean, I could have sworn she had something with Maxwell Lord last year, but it seems like they're going to put her into the direction of possibly being bisexual, which I think is interesting. But if we're headed for a love triangle, I'm really not going to be into this. I'm hoping that Maggie is not just used as a love triangle. I want to see more of her character. I like what they did with her last week, and I feel like focused a little bit too much on their overall relationship, which I hope they don't, because I want to see more from them than just those two being a couple. I don't just want to see that, but we'll have to see. I'm not upset about it. I was a little bit surprised that that's the direction we're going with her. But back at Catco, Kara presents Snapper with her story, identifies her source as Supergirl, and Snappers agrees to publish it, but not before criticizing Kara on her poor use of sentence structure and not using the proper formats. And seriously, I mean, if there's anything else this guy is going to complain about, anything else, I mean, it's really pissing me off that he just complains about everything. It seems like there's no reason why he's really here just to complain, and he tells her to rewrite it, but begrudgingly admits that she has a legit story, and I like that he did tell her that, oh, you do have a story here. He's not completely heartless, but I'm just not really into him. Supergirl then tells Mon-El the DOs released him into her custody. She admits she never got the chance to protect her cousin, but Mon-El actually gives her a second chance. He's actually willing to forgive her, and I like that. Again, I like the hope that we're getting there, and I'm hoping that soon we're gonna see these two work side by side. I want to see that happen. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, and definitely it's something that I think we definitely do deserve, especially after we got Superman. Again, this is kind of like a more low-key version. I want to see that happen. But Hank then arrives back in Magon's apartment to tell her that he is glad to know her, understands her decision not to take the psychic bomb, but he hopes that they can at least be friends, the only two survivors from their world. And then we get to the end of this episode, where Magon actually transforms to her true form, which is a white Martian, we realize, and that is the way the episode ends. Crazy stuff there. But let's just get into this episode because, wow, is there a lot to say after that. So, like I said, while this episode for me was very messy, and I think it was a little bit unfocused, there was some genuinely great stuff here. Like, for example, this twist with Magon is really interesting. I like the stuff we had with John and Magon, the fact that Magon was kind of mad at John for what he was doing and things like that. I like we got into that relationship, but now knowing that she's a white Martian, it makes sense why she's so against John. I mean, we know the white Martians, those are the people that killed most of John's race, and the fact that she's a white Martian, I don't really know what's going on there. If he knew that she was a white Martian, has she been a white Martian this entire time? I don't really understand that, but we'll have to see where that's going to go, because I think that definitely is very interesting. Again, for me, the best on this episode by far had to be Supergirl and Mon-El. I really love their conflict overall. I want to see more of Win and Mon-El working together, because it was just a lot of fun to watch. I know people have said they want a Mon-El and Win-centric episode. I'm all for that, too. I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch, but Definitely their stuff was just a lot of fun. I'm hoping that these two end up working side by side because, again, while they have their differences, it seems like they're willing to put that aside them, and I definitely really do like that. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go. Definitely into this storyline, the most of anything going on right now. Alex and Maggie, I like this. I do like where this is headed. I just didn't think this was the direction we were going. I thought Maggie was going to be more of an antagonist for Alex, but now it seems like Alex is attracted to Maggie. I don't know if she is, but again, I don't really know if they brought up. I mean, I could have sworn that Alex was straight last season, so I don't know if they're gonna make her bisexual. I don't really know, but overall, interesting stuff there. I hope that Maggie's used for more than just, just a love triangle. I'm hoping there's more they do that because I feel like CW does that a lot, and I hope that they don't do that here because it definitely would get annoying if they did that. One of my biggest complaints with Flash, as you guys know, last season was all the Barry Irish drama. I'm glad I'm glad that's over with because I like that those two are more in the forefront and everything. I like that those two are, together and everything. I'm hoping that things do go well for Alex and Maggie, but we'll have to see. Definitely that's going to be interesting. Snapper, I'm not liking this character. I'm really not. He really is starting to become annoying. The fact that he's just complaining about everything, and there's not a lot of substance to it. It just seems like he's just there to complain. He's there to be that, antagonist for her, and I'm just not really into that overall. But overall, guys, I really did like this episode. This was a strong one overall. Just not nearly as good as the first two episodes. I definitely will say that. But let me know what you guys saw this episode overall. Loved your thoughts on it. And we'll see you guys in my next, which will be for The Flash. And we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.